the next presenter is Bimal Bhattarai. Oh. On behalf of Bimal, all right, so Lei will present it. So I won't introduce Lei because
sure, no worries. Do we have the slides?
But you can introduce yourself. We started. Sure. All right.
My name is Lei Jiao, and I'm a professor from University of Agder. So here I'm going to present the work from the UER team, because it is mainly Bimal's work. He's leading the work, but he can't make the presentation because of the flight cancellation. So now I'm going to present it on his behalf. So the basic concept of this work is that we use Tsetlin Automata as the main learning entity in the Tsetlin machine. Tsetlin Automata is agortic. That means we can go back and forth, back and forth. And this work is to explore the possibility of adding absorbing state. That means we will go somewhere into the learning automata, Tsetlin Automata, and we never come back. So that's the main concept, main differences. Now let's take a look at the work. In this slide, we briefly introduce the concept of Tsetlin machine and the beauty of Tsetlin machine. And we know that it's simple, transparent, and interpretable. And traditional Tsetlin machine is agortic in nature. That means the Tsetlin machine never stops learning. Tsetlin automata never stops learning. Actually, this statement is not completely right, because Tsetlin machine can be absorbing depending the hyperparameter configuration of T. That means if we configure T in a proper way, Tsetlin machine, although the Tsetlin automata is agortic, Tsetlin machine can be absorbing. So if you look at the proof paper in TPAMI, you will find that. But in general, Tsetlin automata is agortic, and as long as Tsetlin machine gives some feedback, it will go back and forth, back and forth in probability. Yeah. We try to introduce absorbing state in the Tsetlin automata so that we are hoping that we will reduce the energy consumption and the training time. Yes, this is the Tsetlin automata. We are all familiar with that. This is agortic. This is agortic. You can't find it. I mean, well, 1 second. I need to turn it off. Yes. We still cannot see it. But anyway, on top of the figure, we can see that we have different states from 1 to n. And there's non-zero probability that this transitions will happen from, yes. Yeah, it doesn't show on the, no, it doesn't. No worry, leave it.
Can you see the pointer here?
Yeah, now it appears. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we can see there's no, among the states, we can see the transitions. And it's non-zero. That means the states, from Markov chain's perspective, this is agortic Markov chain. Yes. This is traditional Tsetlin automata. And this is a binary Tsetlin machine that we are familiar with already, so I don't want to waste more time. And here we can see this is the new automata with absorbing state. This is the old one, from 1 to 256. We split it in half-half, and this means exclude, this means include. If we happen to be in this side, we exclude the literal, and if it is on this side, we include the literal. But here, the new approach is that we have one state here, which we go into this state, and we never come back. There's zero probability that we come back to the right side of the states. It's like the Tsetlin machine. When we arrive there, we die. There's no way to get out. Yes, like, but this one we can go back and forth. So that's the only differences. Now, what we are going to play is to look at. We set the different positions of this absorbing state and see how it performs in terms of Tsetlin machine. And this is basically the concept. And here, let me see these two. Yeah, I have covered those 2 bullet points. I hope this is clear to the audience, right? Yes. So now let's look at the next slide. We have actually, we have one line here above that is include, below it is exclude. And because of this absorbing state, we have a kind of a barrier. If the states move below this barrier, the literal will be excluded forever, and there's no chance to get back. And if we are above this line, the literal will be included forever, and we won't get it. We won't have a chance to get back. So then the literals will be organized in this way. So we have excluded literals, included literals, and permanently included ones, and discarded literals. Discarded literals means we permanently excluded. So we throw them completely away. So we won't consider it at all. And this coding means the first one is the literal number 1, and 3 means this current state. The current state of the first literal is 3, and the second literal is also 3, and the last this number is 10, and that is also 3. So this is the initial point. So in the beginning of training, we put all states in the excluded state, and then we put it in a boundary. So after training, some of them will be like included, some of them will be excluded, maybe some of them will be permanently included, and some of them will be discarded. So that is the new configuration. Okay. This slide shows the let's say one snapshot in the learning phase. So we excluded ones. That means they are not yet discarded, but they are still on the exclude side. So after some iteration, let's say this 3 may be in this state. That means it will be included forever. And this number 8 may be changed from before it was excluded. After some training, they decide to be included. And we have some other ones. Let's say number 4 will be discarded forever, and number 3 is remaining. So this is just explaining how the things goes. So if we exclude the literals forever, we don't touch it. We delete it from the memory, so it's gone forever. Okay. And the beauty from the hardware's perspective is that once we switch to the exclude, permanent exclude, we don't need to touch it any longer. So we can use the memory for other purpose. And there's another beauty that is the greatest reduction in switching activity if clock gating is used. To be honest, I don't know the meaning, but you are experts in the hardware, so I'm sure you understand it. But anyway, we have some benefits if we do that. Now look at the results. So we have 2 tables. The above one means where we set up the absorbing state. I think the 0 means there's no absorbing state, like agoric Mark chain. And number 25 is absorbing, number 50 is absorbing, number 75, number 100, and number 125. So if we go back to this slide, so we can see that number in this table number 50, if this line means we set the absorbing state here. If it is 125, that means it is very close to the border. Yeah. If it is very small, that is very far away, very close to the agoric, let's say. Now let's look at the results. So if this is, let's say, legacy learning Tsetlin machine, and it seems the highlighted ones are the best with the best performance. This is in percentage, and in this 5.77, that is the second of training. So we can say that if we do not use absorbing, we have a big number in the training time. This is because it goes back and forth, back and forth. But if we have absorbing state, you see the training time is significantly reduced. This is in accordance with our expectation, intuition, I mean. And with 50 as absorbing state, we can say that we have many peak performance. This is the percentage, the more the better. And if we have this one is something interesting. If we put the absorbing state very close to the border, it will be absorbed very quickly. We can see the small number of training. However, the performance is not that good because it doesn't take the random nature of the learning, so it explores a very little time and then get absorbed. We didn't actually learn anything. We learn something, but it's not good enough. As we are further away from the border, we can say that we have better performance, but it seems we have a point which we can get the most benefit out of the absorbing state. So more we put, the farther away, I mean, when we put the absorbing state, it's not always necessary, always better in terms of performance. Okay, this is this table. And this table, we just use one data set, which is R8. Yes. One, yes, I think it is one epoch or 24. I need to double check, but it's in seconds. Yeah. Yes, Jesse.
Just to check, the absorbent states, those numbers are effective on both ends of this.
It's a very good question. I think this one is only on the exclude side. In the include side, we don't add anything. Okay. Yeah, exclude. Yeah. Yes. So unbalanced kind of. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's just continue. This table is only based on this R8 dataset, and we want to show that if we just do some subsampling of literal, that means we use a portion of literal in the clause. If the clause, let's say, is 100 with 100 literals, and this means that we just use 10% of it. This is 30%, 60%, and 90% of the literals for learning. So that means we use more resource. And here the states are the absorbing states. So we want to show that if we use a portion of the literals, at the same time we add absorbing states, what will happen? We can say that if we use more literals, that means, let's say this is 0.9, that is 90% of the literals we use, the learning time is bigger if we compare with this one. That means we have more, it's natural, right? Because we have more literals to learn, so that we use more time. If we compare state 0 with 0.1 and 0.9, we look at the time. One is 36, the other is 200 plus seconds. So this is because of more literals. And when we look at the states with absorbing, we can say that with the absorbing state closer to the border, we have a smaller learning time. But the performance is a bit compromised. The best performance is still with the maximum number of literals plus no absorbing state for this data set. But we do have a few samples, positions that will give us very good, let's say, compromising of the results. So we have here, for example, this one, we use just about 1/3 of the time, and we get approximately the same performance. with absorbing state and also a shorter literal, a smaller number of literals. So this is what this table tells us. So basically it works in short terms, it works. And it trains basically for different types of data very well. And here we have a different, we have another 2 slides showing the graph of learning versus the accuracy. And we can see those are the absorbing states in different color code. And we can see that here we have one group, and here we have another group. This group means that we have the state that is very close to the border, so the accuracy is not good. This is in accordance with our expectation. And if we have a absorbing state a little bit further away from the border, they are approximately the same in terms of accuracy. And this is the training time. Of course, this one with the border goes down very quickly because many of the literals will be excluded completely. So it learns very fast, but the accuracy is compromised. Yes. This slide shows the absorbing rate. And if we have the state absorbing state very close to the border, the absorbing rate is very high. Most of them are absorbed. However, if we have it a bit further away, so we have absorbing state like absorbing state a bit below, between let's say 90% to 95%. So I think in this figure, zero state means there's one absorbing state very farther away. I need to double check the paper, the definition of zero state, but it's the trend we can say is very clear between those two lines. Yes. For conclusion, to make it short, the absorbing state provides trade-off between the performance and the computation, and we have a benefit from hardwire's perspective. And the other things we all know it already from the previous study of Tsetlin machine, like interpretability and simpleness and hardware friendliness. Okay, that's basically the work of absorbing state. Feel free to ask questions now. Yes.
Thanks for this. And then there are questions.
Hi, Lei. Thank you for taking over Bill's presentation. He did a very good job. So with the absorbing states, doesn't that make the number of states parameter, doesn't it interact with the number of states parameter? And having a higher absorbing state number makes many states redundant.
It could happen. I think so, because we introduce a new hyperparameter into the structure, and we need to do some balance between the position of the absorbing state and the total number of the states in the learning automata. Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, doesn't it make the number of states somehow? You can make a smaller number of states in a given in the automata. You know, if the absorbing state is state 5, then now you have 5 redundant states. So you could actually reduce the number of states parameter. And it's you can say you're either absorbing or you're not absorbing if you absorb at the extremes. I mean, there's some states there, you know, if your absorbing number is 5, then you have the 0 to 5 states will never be exercised, right?
Yeah, right. I see your point. Exactly. So if you put the number of absorbing state, let's say number 5, from 0 to 5, we don't need the memory at all. So it's gone. Yeah, we can reduce the number of states. Definitely, I see.
So in a way, not just code gating, we can actually speak effectively silicon.
Yeah, silicon. We remove that silicon. Yeah.
Unless you do the absorption correctly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do the absorption probabilistic, not deterministic. In that case, you could probably take advantage of those extra states. So,
Yeah, definitely.
my question,
depending,
I'm curious if you can end up with contradictions this way, because, for example, if the first set of data is in favor of a literal, and then the follow-up would be the data in favor of its negation, both of them will be absorbed, both of them will be included, right? So chances for you to produce contradictions probably would be higher. Am I right?
Yes, I think so, because if we put, let's say, if we consider extreme case, we put some data
In support,
yeah,
then
in support, then they get absorbed, and then even if they say that new data which should be opposite, they won't be able to learn it at all.
so do you have any kind of remedies against that? Because in regular TM, you would probably get rid of one of them.
Yeah. In regular TM, we may come back, but this one, there's no way to come back. So maybe perhaps we need to play on the data side. So to swap the data in a very random way, so that we won't input a group of data which has similar feature, let's say, at once, to give the possibility of Tsetlin machine to be absorbed, and then we show another set of data which is opposite. Then it will be a disaster for Tsetlin machine to learn with
Should
this
be taken
feature.
care of.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. Yes.
Thank you. Nice talk. I have two questions. So first is, in your results, I don't see the impact on runtime memory. So will it decrease or increase, depending on what, on absorbing automata? Second question is, the data sets you have tried, I don't see any image data set. So is that what you would like to do? Or I don't know if I'm mistaken. Is that what you are planning to do in the future? Why don't choose image data sets?
The either one. The image one is definitely the future work. We can try MNIST, but in this work, we haven't reached there. So we definitely will do that. And for color image and grayscale image, that requires more pre-processing to let Tsetlin machine adapt to it. So we are working on that. We are doing image embedding too. Yeah.
And what about the runtime memory?
The memory, I don't know for sure, but I think we can reduce the memory size significantly, because let's say if we place the absorbing state number 5, let's say, then the other from 0 to 4, we can delete it once it is gone, and then we save some memory. Yeah. I'm not sure if I answer your question.
I will ask it.
Yeah, we talk about it. Yeah.
Let's go with the last one.
Sorry, thank you again, Craig, for taking this presentation.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit confused. What is subsampling? What does he mean by subsampling rate?
Oh, this term, yeah. We have, let's say we have a clause which has 100 literals. If we use 0.1 subsampling, that means we just use 10% of the literal for this learning. So the 90% we don't use for learning at all. So only 10% is utilized. So the more you see the number gets bigger, let's say when we look at 0.9, that means 90% of the literal will be randomly selected for learning. The other 10% is gone.
So that would mean, so if you get a feature come in and you get the literals of the feature, you basically say for 10%, you get rid of 90% of it randomly and only use 10 in the training.
10% of the features.
Okay.
Yeah, randomly selected. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you.